All right. How's everybody doing? Good? Good? Great. Okay. So we will get rolling here. We get thumbs up from side or right? Okay. So, pleasure to be here. And I know it's a Sunday and you guys all took your time to be here, so it would make it worthwhile for you and the youth here. And as we get rolling here, I'm going to ask a couple of questions and we'll make this interactive. Is that okay? Yes? So I know we had some couple of great speakers. I know Vibrant spoke and one of my favorite speakers. And I know we had the physician from New York, and I hope you enjoyed that. So before I begin, let me ask you a question. I want you to think of your favorite friend right now. Everybody had it? How many of you can tell me the cell phone number of your favorite friend? How many pixels? So in a room of how many people we have, maybe 2, 3 people, right? So the reason I ask this question is, the issue is not about peer pressure or gene health. The issue is that we have empowered technology, but at the same time we have disempowered humanity. You guys okay?
Nice. Wow.
Here. In a room like this, if you've forgotten to remember phone numbers, if I extrapolate that 5, 10, 20 years from now, when you'll be using AI to answer your emails, to figure out your schedule, what else are you going to lose, right? So my life's work has been to make sure that as we empower technology, and we cannot run away from technology for sure. Certainly in my field, in the radiology, I do use AI to do many different things. Currently, our hospital is a testing platform for many AI products. They test with us. And so we use it. I think it's an important role. We use it to pick up breast cancer. We use it to pick up lung nodules at the same time. But at the same time, my mission is that we empower humanity at the same rate. And so the question today is not about what are the solutions for peer pressure. I think the question is a little bigger than that. The question is, what are the connections we're losing so that people become susceptible to peer pressure? Make sense? And when we answer that, we know not only impact teens, we impact adults, but on a larger level, we impact humanity as a whole, or how we function. So for the past 25 years, from my radiology perspective, I've seen why people are aging faster biologically than their chronological age. But at the same time, I've also seen why people thrive. And when we take all of that, I want to give you 4 primal pillars that I believe we need to empower as we empower technology at the same time. Okay? So one of the things when we talk about topics like peer pressure, right? And I tell people is, have you ever noticed sometimes somebody walks into the room and they have this stance and to themselves and the way they carry, where you know nobody's messing with that guy. I mean, I hope you noticed that. Where you know that that guy has a certain level of what we call as primal power, right? Has that power, right? Where you go, you look at it and it said, I know nobody's going to mess with it. What I want to ask you is, what gives somebody, this is our first pillar, is power. Okay? What gives people that primal power? What is it about that person when you see makes you think that, nobody is going to mess with it? What is one quality you think, and we can shoot out anything, one quality that people, yeah?
Confidence.
Confidence, anything else? Aura, anything else? Self-respect. Great. Foster, anything else?
Being simple, stature.
Stature. Okay, great. So we mentioned body. Well, first thing, what we're going to see, that person have a energy that exudes. You agree with me, right? See, some people walk into a room, they suck energy. Some people walk into the room and they give out energy, right? So the first thing that defines power is energy, right? And when we talk about energy, what we see is that we when we looked across the board, when we say what people have that natural primal energy. And when you look at that, you look at people, particular tribes. I lived with, I had experience and a connection with tribes in Africa. That's where I had a part of my childhood with that. So I grew up with tribal cultures, playing with the kids out in the open and everything like that. And they had that energy, that primal energy. What we find that people who are connected with the land, they are connected with the natural solar cycle. We talk about the three S's: sun, they're connected with the sun, they're connected with the soil, and they're connected with the natural sleep cycle. When people are in alignment with these natural elements, so you look at tribal people, you look at farmers, they have a natural energy that just comes because they're in alignment. Have you noticed that? You ever seen people farm? When you talk to them, the way a farmer walks, he just has natural energy. You guys with me? So one aspect is that primal energy, which means connection with the earth. The second aspect to this, somebody mentioned, is how well somebody is connected with their body. Okay? So I'm going to do a demo. Is that okay with you guys? So Daksha, come up here. Bring your phone. All right. So come up here.
Let's see. I'm gonna move this. Kind of moving.
Okay. So Daksha, just check your phone. Show me how you normally check your phone. Just check your phone like that. Okay. Just check here. Okay. Or put your side profile. Just check your phone as you normally check your phone. Right. Okay. Here's Daksha checking her phone. Right. If you're looking at Daksha, that corner around here, check your phone. So if you're looking at Daksha, and I said, give me, don't tell me the number, in your head, I want you to think of the power. We're going to rate Daksha on a power scale, right? I said, give me the power rating for this person. Can you see that person, right? I want you to think of that number, okay? Just keep that number in your mind, okay? All right, now we'll stop. One of the things that when somebody walks into a room, innately you are an animal, so you're picking up clues in that person, right? So one of the things we pick up is how that person carries themselves. In terms of, somebody mentioned posture, somebody mentioned that. So one thing is the aspect of primal posture. When you look at animals out there, when you look at the alpha male, right? He has a certain primal posture which gives him that dominance in that animal kingdom, in that tribe, or in that pack, right? So how do we develop primal posture? Okay, so one of the things with teens, okay, and why people are susceptible to outside forces, peer pressure, why people don't see you as powerful, because if you're powerful, nobody's messing with you. Yes? Okay, so one of the things is that when you saw Daksha use the phone, you saw that she has a forward type posture looking at her phone. Yes? Okay? So one of the first things we do, if we do, Daksha, just push your head back like that, okay, with your index finger. So now when she does that, her ear is aligned with her shoulder. And when we do that, when you align that alignment, that strengthens, one, it puts your neck in a position of strength, okay? Second thing we want to do, Daksha, I want you to take your shoulders, pull them back and down, pull them back and down, okay? Now keep your seat. So now Daksha has pulled her head back, she's pulled her shoulders back. So now her ears are aligned with her shoulders. And then I want you to do one more thing is put your feet inward. And I want you to like squeeze your glutes so you pull your feet out and like that. So like that. Just squeeze your glutes so so here's what's going to happen. Your pelvis goes from this position to this position. You see that? You feel that? Okay. So now Daksha stands like that, right? Would you say that when you look at Daksha, go do a side profile, put chin tuck, do your shoulder thing, and then just give me that like that, right? I know it's a awkward thing, but you feel that changes how you perceive Daksha from a power rating? Does that change, right? When you see that, okay? So what I see, thank you, Benji. Okay. So what we see is that how people perceive you is a subconscious thing. They innately perceive your posture, and they will decide if you're powerful or not. Whether you have the capacity or anything, they don't care. It's just right away they're checking. So what we tell executives is that when you walk into a room, you have to have a power posture when you walk into a room. Otherwise, people will not perceive you properly. Make sense? This last element in power is the idea of what we talk about is when that person walks into the room, the one thing you're looking at is that level of exuberance that they have. You ever notice when people walk in and they have that type of exuberance? Exuberance comes from two things. That's having energy and being in a joyous mood at the same time. It's a combination of joy and energy at the same time. And you notice that you can have one or the other. Have you noticed people who have a lot of energy but are sad, right? Somebody's angry, a lot of energy, but they're sad, right? Or somebody who is very joyous but has no energy. Like, let's say, a mother who just delivers a baby. Okay, very joyous, but she has no energy, right? Very joyous, no energy. But when you have energy and joy, you have exuberance. When you have exuberance, people see you as powerful. Okay? And so one of the things that I tell teams, we tell executives, is that the food that you eat, and I try not to, I eat lunch today because I like to eat early part of the day because I cannot talk and eat right, speak right after I eat, is that the food that you put in your body is one of the key components of how much exuberance you have, because a lot of food that we eat this day and age actually saps energy rather than gives you energy. So one of the things that teams need to realize is that the first pillar is you have to learn how to develop, what's the word? Power. Okay, like if you have power, nobody's messing with you. Okay, that's one. Second pillar we work on is this idea of presence. Okay, we're going to work on 4 P's. The second idea is the idea of presence. Okay, and what is presence? Now, I used to be in Africa and looking at these tides, and if you look at a hunter as he's hunting an animal, right? He is squatted down, but he's following that animal so closely, right? He's present because every little leaf thing, he's paying attention like that. When we look at our brain, anybody in neuroscience? I know we have a couple of people, all right, there you go. Anybody in neuroscience? Have you heard of the term neuroplasticity? Okay, yes? Okay. Neuroplasticity says that your brain is constantly evolving. Right now you're sitting there, it is forming new connections and it is breaking old connections, and it's constantly wiring and unwiring based on what is happening in your body. So when that hunter is sitting and tracking that thing, he's wiring his brain to pay attention and have awareness. What are keys wiring themselves to right now? Like, you ever see that guy on that bus with the headphones on, is scrolling TikTok and like that? Like an ambulance will go by and he doesn't even notice. You see what I'm saying? We've gone from being fully aware to being digitally distracted, okay? But the price of that, the price of losing that awareness is that when you are going in corporate, when you take a real job and you have to be in front of somebody and take an interview and respond and react to that person's expressions, you just don't have the attention span to interact. Okay? I interview residents, interview thing, but part of interviewing is the interviewer needs to be present, right? So one of the things that we realize that people are using, not just teens, but corporate, is the ability to be present. And part of my work is taking people on a journey where we go from teaching people how to go from anxiety to develop attention to develop awareness. Because when you have awareness and you can be present, we can work with you to develop wonderful qualities. With presence, with awareness, comes the ability to do what we call is deep work. Deep work, have you heard that term, deep work? Deep work, when you have awareness and presence, so that you can be at one task so deeply that you have the creativity, you have the new ideas, you come out with innovation, you think of new products. This is what Apple wants, this is what Microsoft wants. They want people who can have the capacity to have deep work. But right now, you get 150 to 180 messages on your phone, right? You're looking at checking your emails right now. We have wiped out people's ability to have deep work, to be in that state of flow. And that's a human quality. That is not an AI quality. That is a human quality that needs to be there. So power, presence. The third piece is what we talk about is purpose and peer group, okay? And with my work and looking at all kind of, Vikrant's work and Rajesh's work and where they come from the redacting, what we see that people fall into certain categories and people have certain innate qualities. Have you noticed that? Some people are natural creators, some people are natural artists, right? Some people are, and what we find is that generally people have a dominant quality in them, okay? My wife is an artist. I know she's a creator, okay? She knew that since she was 3 years old, okay? But we find that people are creators, some people are thinkers, they like to think of ideas, they like to make connections. These are the people we want in those corporate roles who come out and they think and plan. Some people are connectors. These are people who relate to people naturally. And then some people are what we call as seekers. Seekers are people who see the philosophical side of things. They think of the grander questions and things like that, okay? What we see right now, and one of the things with teens, the issue is why teens don't perform the way they want to, is in your schoolwork, in college, in whatnot, there is misalignment between who you are, that natural quality in you, and what you're pursuing. Maybe you're pursuing treatment because being doctor is a good thing, right? But is it something that enhances your natural quality or not? Okay, maybe you're pursuing investment banking because that's where all the big money is. But are you created to be a good investment banker? Okay, that's the big question. That misalignment, if you don't handle it up front, it amounts to you being an adult and then you become 50, 60, and one day you're at a stoplight and you say, I made all this money, you're in your Mercedes, and you're at a stoplight and you realize, I have all this, but there is just no fulfillment, right? And we see it again and again in people, okay? We see people, you see Hollywood stars, they commit suicide because you could see that why would this guy commit suicide? Has all this money, all this fame, everything like that, but he didn't fulfill that aspect, that quality in you, okay? And so there is this idea of purpose
And as soon as you identify that quality, what we do is we have mechanisms where we can put genes to certain level of questions, and we ask that what you gravitate towards. What is it that excites you? What is it like that? And we can find out that what is your dominance? Where do you lie dominantly? And then guide people accordingly. What we found that when we could find out your dominant quality, automatically, if you know your dominant quality, you will seek a tribe or a peer group that aligns with that dominant quality. An artist will find other creators, right? Somebody who's a connector will find other people who are connectors. And that is the way you create a appropriate peer group and appropriate tribe. We tell the kids, go find friends, right? But what's the mechanism of finding friends, right? Because you have friends that align with your values and your strengths. Am I making sense? So it's a very important aspect. And the last piece, okay? We talked about power, presence, purpose, peer group. And the last pillar is this idea of what we talk about is permanence, okay? And how many, I want you to open up your cell phone right now. Check, just tell me how many pictures you have on your cell phone right now. All right? Just give me a number. What's the picture count? Just what's the picture count? Give me number. Huh? 10,000? Okay, wow. All right. 4,895. Anyway, what picture? 100 pictures. 28,000. Yeah, I think he was 10,000. You have like 40, but I have 11 photos. Yeah. Good. Wow. Okay, it takes it. 39,000. That's so here's why I asked this. Okay. Few years ago, I lost my dad, and we are doing the ceremony for holding the ceremony for him. So I needed pictures of him to put in the ceremony and all that. So I got this phone, and I knew this phone and everything. So and I got his phone, and I opened this phone, and when I looked there, he had, I know, thousands. Everybody has thousands of pictures, right? That you guys are crazy number of pictures. There were only 5 pictures. And so during his last period in the hospital, he had taken all those thousands of pictures and made them into pa. And the pictures were, one of him and my mom, second one was my family, third one was my brother's family, fourth one was what he devoted his life to in terms of leadership and the mission he was following. And the last one was a religious picture where he worshipped and everything like that. And what I tell people is this. Ultimately, we have 39,000 pictures, but ultimately, it will be only a handful of things that drive. You agree with me? Right? And so one of the paradoxes we see, as I wrap up here, is that right now, as a teen, maybe even as an adult, the biggest fear people have is fear of death. Right? I tell people, behind all fears is the fear of death, right? If you're afraid of public speaking, if you're afraid of heights, if you're afraid of calling somebody, behind all those fears, the ultimate fear is fear of death, right? Because we're so scared of death, we try to forget that we die, okay? That the life is finite. And so what we do is we have this false sense in our head that there are endless tomorrows, right? You say, oh, I'll do that. When? Tomorrow. When will we do it? Next time, right? Because we think we have endless next times, endless tomorrows, right? In that frame, in that mindset, when we think we have endless tomorrows, in the today, we play what I say is when you have a infinite life, you play a finite game. That means today becomes more transactional. What's in it about me? I give in this, he gives me this. It's a give and take like that, right? But when you realize that 100 years, I'm not being generous, and let's say everybody lives 100 years. When you realize 100 years is a short span of time, then you realize that in that finite life, you want to work on something that's infinite, that you want to commit to a life to something that is going to live beyond a cause or mission or message, something that you realize that I can start and that I can commit to that is going to be bigger than. So the last human quality that AI will never replace is the idea of self-transcendence, is that you can see and start something that is beyond you, right? Beyond your brand, beyond who you are, you know? And when, as a gene, how does this play? When you see that you are part of a group, I'm glad you guys are doing this, is that you're doing something that is help other teams. It will go beyond you, right? Beyond what you are right now. You're part of a cause that is bigger than you. That's a very, very important element, because when you have that, you won't be susceptible. It gives you a lot of power. And you won't be susceptible to peer pressure or anything like that, you know? So my exercise to you is this, and I've done this across the board for many, many people, is that I say, take your 5,000, 29,000, or 39,000 pictures. I want you to come up with 5. That there's your big 5. Create a folder called Big 5. Now, once you create a folder of Big 5, assuming from all the people I've spoken to, one is going to be picture of you, maybe significant other, maybe your family, brother, everything like that. But there's going to be one picture is going to be about what you're going to chase as a cause. Okay? It's an activity for adults too. But what I want you to talk about is, what is it I'm going to chase that if I had 5 pictures to leave my family, what is that one picture, besides family pictures and everything, what is that one picture of what I chased in my life going to be? Because that will determine how you wake up tomorrow, okay? So when you have that clarity, it changes how you live, and it changes how you impact people. It changes of your life means in the long run, okay? And for teens, it gives that clarity. It gives them a context that there is life beyond me, okay? And so, as I wrap up here, I would say that there is no escaping AI, there is no escaping technology, right? But the idea is that can we empower the human qualities that AI will never replace, right? So we talked about power, we talked about presence, we talked about purpose and having a peer group that aligns with it. And the last idea is this idea of permanence, when you embrace the idea that you are the permanent, okay? And I think if you embrace that, you empower yourself. As we empower technology, you'll be able to empower yourself, okay? And there are ways and means to do this, and that is purpose of my message, and is that to start that conversation with teens, to start that conversation in corporate, that we can empower people, so that I don't want to wake up to a world where technology is so empowered and humanity is so disempowered. So that's my message, and we look forward to creating that world with you all.
You know, I call it the opportunity to give the monitors